Okay, this is Chief Jay of which tribe?
Gull Lake Band of Ojibwe.
Okay.
Yes, and it's not federally recognized. It's down in Brainerd, Minnesota. That's where we come from, and our people got absorbed into the White Earth Reservation and Mille Lacs Reservation. And,
Yeah, I guess this area is a confluence of several different tribes.
up this way, there's all Ojibwe reservations. So you're on the Leech Lake Reservation, and then the bordering one is White Earth, which is 2 hours that way.
Okay.
East, west, and north is Red Lake, a little bit north from here, northwest hour.
So we're okay. So we're on our way to. He said it works better. Yeah,
Move a
anyway.
little closer. Yeah. Move
Yeah, I
it-
can tell you've been married for a long time. I do the same thing. Me and my
54
wife.
years.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. So I was reading on the board that Ojibwa is Anishinaabe or
Anishinaabe.
Anishinaabe. I think I've seen that word before in Michigan.
Yeah. So
In Grand Rapids?
yes, Grand Rapids. So our people, we originated from the East Coast, Maine, and we came this way like our elders back then were told by the heavens, by the spirits, to keep moving east, and eventually we would come to food on the water, and a lot of people know that, and that's wild rice, and we're in the harvest season now. So Anishinaabe, yeah, that's what we call ourselves in the language. It means like the first beings. Ojibwa is a Dakota word, and that means they referred that to the style of our moccasins, because they are puckered up on the toes. They were puckered up. So yeah, there were some other things.
What?
Did you get his name on there?
Yeah.
Oh, you did. You
Your
did
name
say his
is
name. Okay, got it.
Chief Jay, right?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said 40 miles from here?
Yeah, so I live on the reservation here. This is my wife's reservation where she was raised. We live 40 miles northeast. And I actually come from 5 hours from here. Well, where I was raised, I was adopted out in a little reservation called St. Croix, Lake Superior, Chippewa. And our little reservation is called Round Lake. So, yeah, that's where I come from. I go there maybe 3 or 4 times a year. But to me, this is where I need to be, and this is my homeland, and things like that. So, yeah, the crazy times that that we're living in the COVID times. The reality of that is, here's one thing that a lot of people forget is chiefs like myself, way back before, I never met I met my cousin who passed the chieftainship on to me, and in my adopted family over there was another chief that I had learned from, and he took me in as his grandkid, and whatnot. But what a lot of mainstream society has forgotten, that Indians, we've always been here. This is where we were put on the earth, and this is crucial, because here we have a lot of stories of our first Indian man that walked on the earth. He had powers, he could do things, but he as he manipulated himself, like to turn into a bear, to turn into an eagle, turn into a McDonald's sign. No, I'm just kidding. There was always repercussions for that, and so those repercussions, we try to listen, and we try to teach. We first try to learn ourselves, then we try to teach our children. I have grandchildren as well, so we try to teach them those things about when you make a decision. Besides Wenabuju, his name is Nanabuju. He was the first man on the earth, and that is our equivalent of what you would call Jesus, And
our first man was Adam.
well, your first man was Adam, but so when if it comes down to like Jesus and having the power, and people believing, and his teachings, that's how Wanabuju was. Nanabuju. And so the thing with Jesus and Nanabuju was born. He was raised here. The Creator God took him from all different parts of the of North America and made him into mud, and he didn't have no essence, until he reached in the ocean and grabbed this shell and breathed life into him, And so my thing, what I always like to say and what I try to put out there is the only way that and I have no problem with other religions and whatever, but with Jesus and Nanabuju, Jesus was born over there. He was born over there. So the only way you're going to feel his true essence, his true being, where he walked, is get over there, Jerusalem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. To get over to Jerusalem. And the reason why I say that, it's not to disrespect religion or these two individuals, but that's what Indian people feel every day of their lives. It doesn't matter if we don't have an education, we don't have a full-time job, we don't have a great big house, or even a house to live in. I mean, a nice modern house. But what we know is that when we wake up and when we walk and we feel that, this is our church right here. This whole thing, the church are the trees are the pillars, and the sky is what would you call the rotunda, And so every time we come out of our homes, this is our church, and so. Historically, when a lot of the Westerners and cowboys and what you would, they would see that and say, you guys don't have a religion, you guys don't have nothing, and it's like, yeah, but we do, but ask us. So even now today, with the COVID thing, people have forgotten that, Indian people, whether it's from here to Arizona, from here to Alaska, from here to Maine, there are still a lot of chiefs, but no, the people have been systematically trained and brainwashed to believe in county-style government, which you would call a tribal council, and so they're the ones that run the politics of day-to-day business, which is fine, but Red Lake up north, they have all their chiefs intact with their tribal council. So they work hand in hand. They're the only reservation of Ojibwe people that are doing that. So that's kind of my hope and my dream, is to get back to us traditional chiefs. And that's another thing. I didn't wake up, I didn't go to school, I didn't go to my college and say, hey, I'm going to be a chief. No, that had to come down through the heavens, through individuals, and here I am, and that's God's work, and the Great Spirit's work.
So you're saying that your goal is to have total self-government for your people?
Well, we do have a government, but the traditional form of government, where the chiefs, and there were different types of chiefs, work more closely together and kind of keep money out of the loop, because money and and there's a lot of things going on everywhere, but yeah, have a traditional style form of government, not a democratic or a democracy, if you would, because that's been really bastardized over the years, from the feds down to the state levels. But the tradition, and here's the kicker. So I'm a chief, and if we had other chiefs, and we fought a lot with the Sioux people, which I'm part Sioux as well. If we wanted to go to war, and it's like, all right, we're ready, man. We got our guns, we got our bows, let's go. And if the women said, hey, you know what? There's too many sick elders. There's too many sick children. There's we don't feel it today. You guys aren't going. It was easy as that. It's like, okay, well, guys, you know what? The women spoke. We got to go. Let's go pick our apples and do our things, And we didn't sit there and say, what? This is my house. This is my house. I'm the man. No, that's another teaching. It's always the woman's house. She's the boss. Last word. That's it. And that's what I live by, and that's what I've always lived by. But now that I'm, married and I have kids and grandkids, I really own that, possess that, nurture it. Honor that, and there's a lot of things. People don't honor things anymore. They just, they have this Western lifestyle that they want everything right now and right here. here, and you know how that goes. You don't appreciate things, so.
Yep.
Well, we found out we can easily live in 60 square feet. You know,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
housekeeping.
Yeah, no housekeeping.
We love just, I mean, we have a house at home
Yeah.
in Tennessee.
Yeah.
But when we're away, it's like, this is so much more simple than it, you know, our life is more complicated than it has to be. And it's the spiritual things that are eternal,
Yeah.
not all this stuff.
No.
And I think, I hope that out of this comes this crisis, whether it's real or not,
Yeah.
that people begin to realize what things are important and how much of this garbage they can live without.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, do most of you people have jobs in the community, or do you have
Yeah,
your
like
own businesses?
Like now, when you guys leave out here, you'll see on this res there's 3 big casinos. This one here is the new one. That was like, long story short, supposed to be a $30 million casino. But they got a loan for $60 million, so they never accounted for the other $30 million. Which whatever it is, what it is. There's another casino, shorter one, smaller one, 40 miles down the road.
I think we passed
Yep,
that
you
one.
pass that one, and then there's another one straight down 371, about 25 miles, and
So
that's a
that's-
bigger one too.
So that's your main.
Well, those are the casinos, and then right here is the tribal complex, where if the COVID wasn't happening, they employ your health and human service people, alcohol and drug counselors, the little hospitals here, IHS, and they service IHS, Indian Health services a lot of the reservation, and that's people living on the reservation as well, white people, black people, Indian people. So that's another one that employs people. And there's the local towns, and things like that. But there's a lot of people aren't working now because of the COVID. So yeah,
It's affected a lot of us.
yeah, it's affected
really
everybody,
has.
and I'm one. I'll leave you with this: is that in all of this, our people have forgotten that we're sovereign individuals. What that means is that we're treaty people. So because we're treaty people, that's before the state was here, before the state of Tennessee, before the state was the Minnesota, and the feds. We were. Every band there was a treaty made. In all of this, here we are in 2020. We don't have our own banking system. We don't have our own money. We don't even have a seat in the Senate. All the indigenous people in the North Americas. What else? The list goes on and on. But here, and a cool thing, if you ever Google my name, Saros, Saros versus the state of Minnesota, you'll see that my plan there. I'm an enrolled member of the White Earth Band, but I was stopped on this reservation, and the state got involved. We wanted them to get involved to tell them, this is not your business. The state, this is not your state of Minnesota, this isn't your business. I wanted to transfer my stuff to the tribal court here in Cass Lake, which they were able to do. They could, but the state interrupted that, because if they allowed that, what we were trying to do was push for the Minnesota Supreme Court, and so that way it would open the doors for a lot more band members of White Earth traveling on this reservation, a different reservation, Leech Lakers traveling on a different reservation in Minnesota, Red Lake, to be able to travel freely without a state trooper saying, hey, I have jurisdiction over you, which now they do. But the sole sovereign thing is that we shouldn't even have to have the state involved. But it gets down there. The lawmakers, they know that they make a lot of money off of Indian people, and not only that, the state has been really tricky in saying, here's a grant, here's some money, and if you take this money, here you go. You have to follow these laws and these procedures and policies. It's like, first of all, excuse my language, get the hell out of here with all that stuff, because it's erasing a lot of our sovereignty, what little bit we have, and it goes on and on. And so, yeah. So right now everybody is smoke screened by the COVID, and they're not really protesting that, hey, we don't wear masks on the reservation, we don't wear masks in our casinos because we're sovereign. And they're not doing that. These tribal councils aren't doing that because they're scared. They don't know how to fight. And I always say this, I'm part Lakota, part Sioux, and we in that blood, they're a lot more warring people, and saying, what, we're gonna go to war. Ojibwe people, on the hand, today they're more passive, like lay down and let's not fight, let's just go with the flow, and it's getting us into a lot more deeper mess. Lastly, COVID monies for the reservations were passed. So roughly, I'm way off probably on my numbers. White Earth probably got 40 million, 50 million in extra COVID dollars. They handed out $500 to each member, which isn't nothing. This res, they got like 33 million. They passed down $1,000 to every band member, which they got about a month ago, which isn't nothing, but the kicker is, none of the tribal councils are saying what the costs, what the costs were politically to accept that money, because we know that the feds in the state, they ain't going to give us nothing for free, anybody. And so with that, it's like, where is the strings? Where's the strings, the hidden strings? So it's a matter of time before this reservation gets smaller, probably. The state's going to have more involvement in a lot of different things, and to me, I say, the hell with that stuff, because we got enough of the state and the feds trying to bark at us, and we have the tribal council saying, okay, we'll do what you please, we won't cause no trouble. No, we have to have some dignity, and a lot of these tribal councils up here, they don't have no dignity or self-respect, because they're just taking it as it comes, and not rocking the boat. And me, I've always been called, rock the boat, or whatever you want to call it. And it's just the way it is. And I'm not, it's just the truth, when you speak the truth, you upset a lot of people. So, but here's what I leave you with. Excuse me. You have my blessings, and people forget this, that, along the shore, along this red America, the Turtle Island, you go from time to time, and you hopefully get those blessings from other chiefs, to say, hey, you pass through our territory, you're okay, you're cool, you're trying to understand things, so good luck in your journey, and may the Great Spirit watch over you and take care of you and keep your ride smooth, because that's what we do every time we step into our moving capsule, with our grandkids and stuff like that. And that's it. So I wish you well, and I look forward to being friends until we leave this earth. So
thank you.
One thing I've noticed when you were talking about the basically the creation story of, what was the
Nanabuzu.
Yeah. About the Great Spirit making him out of clay and breathing life into him. That's exactly what Genesis says that God did. He created Adam out of mud and breathed life into him. And we found that our son is a international worker with our church.
Nice.
And we found that in every culture there's a creation story that is similar to the one in the Bible, which tells us that the same God created all of us.
And that's what our elders told us, is that there's a lot of stairways and there's a lot of things, but there's only one creator, one God, and and we find out, and the more times we come together and we talk, and and share that our stories are pretty much the same. It's just they're told different. Yours were written, ours were passed down from grandpa to grandpa to grandpa to grandpa, and so so that's how.
Well, let me ask you this question too. With all that's going on today, it seems like more and more people are, well, they're filled with fear, number one. And so it's come to the place now where people are even having a difficult time just talking, because if they use the wrong terms, they can lose their jobs, or they can, get ostracized from society, or get thrown into jail, as far as that goes. Just one real simple question has to do with Indian. Is that an offensive term to your people?
No, when I write, and you'll see that, I use Indian, I use Indigenous, I use American Indian, Natives. We use all those words at different times, and it doesn't bother me. It doesn't, and for most of your spiritual people, it doesn't bother us, and it's just something that some people just want to take and use and just use for their own advantage, and whatever, and that's all right too. But the reality, they should be protesting, rather than protesting a pipeline, they should be protesting these tribal governments. And up here, there's another part of that's the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. They should be protesting them buildings and saying, you know what, you're not our people, you don't work for our people, you don't represent our people, things like that. So so
talk to us about the
Declaration of Independence. All right, really fast. We had a history teacher one time working at a tribal school. He was a young white kid, and he's a history teacher. So I tell him, you should teach our kids right. And he was like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, what do you think about the Declaration of Independence? He said, well, our forefathers, Adams and Lincoln, they were geniuses, and they drafted that, and they did a lot of work, and I had to stop him. I was like, where did they get the idea from? Well, like I said, they were geniuses. It came from their minds. I said, no, that idea came from the Iroquois Confederacy. I says, if you look at that, them guys took the Iroquois Confederacy, got a copy of it, blocked out what they wanted, and you can see this. It's in I think it's called a plat book in Congress in their library. And they blocked out so many things, but one of the things they blocked out was the power of the women. See, women in every Indian culture are the bosses, and when they see that, of course, they're like, women ain't having no rights, women ain't doing jack, so we don't need none of that. So it's in there. It's in there. So if I were you, I would check it out and stop living the lie that you've been living. No, I'm just kidding. But
so in your culture, you say that you told us before that the home is the women's.
Yep.
But the men run the tribal councils and the.
Well, that's different. See, because they're part of the chiefs would go out and hunt and try to keep the peace, and there's just a lot of different sub levels as well. But at the end, the women were the bosses, and like me. If I didn't honor that it's the woman's house, my wife's house, that she has the last say with the kids, with the grandkids, I wouldn't be a chief, And so it's like that in every community. Not because but if you wanted to live with the chief, you had to accept that your wife is the boss, and that's her domain. That you're there, to keep your balance and do what you need to do. But the final word is hers. So, we still live that. Us ones that are still real and didn't marry no white people and tainted our blood. All right, see you later.
Nice to talk with you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll see you, man. Take care.
Take care.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.